Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our virtual classroom, ladies and gentlemen. And so today, what I want to do is go over some examples of today's lesson, which is the 5-number summary. The 5-number summary, and remember that the 5-number summary, ladies and gentlemen, is really just about finding these 5 items. We're finding the median, the minimum, the Q1, otherwise known as the lower quartile or the lower median. We have the median of the whole data set, the Q3 or the upper quartile or the upper median, and the maximum. Those are the 5 items of the 5-number summary. Now, those can then be used to find things like the range or the interquartile range. All right, and if at this point you're a little bit confused, don't worry, it's all going to make sense. So let's begin with this data set up here. Let us begin with this data set up here. Now, notice that the data is already organized from least to greatest, which is awesome because that means we don't have to spend time doing that. So we are given the numbers, and I'm going to rewrite them. We have the numbers 0, 3, 5, 6, 8, 12, 12, and 15. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have an even number of data points, if you will. All right, let's do the easiest one. So first, let's find the minimum. So we have the minimum over here. The minimum is the least value. The minimum value is 0, so that's going to be our minimum. So we would write 0 right there. So that'd be your first blank, 0. And then we have our maximum. Our maximum is our largest value. Our maximum in this case is 15. So our maximum is 15. So hopefully you have that on your notebook. Let's move on to the median. Remember, median is the one in the middle. And so in this case, since we have an even number of points, it's going to be, they're going to have 2 numbers in the middle. So in this case, we have 0 and 15 are together, 3 and 12, 5 and 12, and we have 6 and 8. 6 and 8 are both in the middle. Now, notice that 6 is part of the lower half of the data, and 8 is part of the upper half of the data. Right? There's 4 numbers on the bottom and 4 numbers on top. The 6 is not the one in the middle, neither is the 8. It's going to be the average of these two. So what I need to do is add these two. So 6 plus 8 is 14. So we have 6 plus 8 is 14, and then divide that by 2. So 6 is 14 divided by 2. So the median will be 7. That's going to be our median. Now, 7 is not one of the data points. It is not. It is just an indicator of how half of the data is going to be 7 or less, half of the data is going to be 7 or more. And so that's going to be our median. Please remember that the median is also known as our Q2. You don't have to write that down, but please remember that that is our Q2. Q2 meaning our second quartile. And we'll talk about quartiles in more detail in a second again. Now let's look at the lower half of the data. The lower half being this side. So from the 6 all the way down to the 0. Notice that we have 4 points in the lower half of the data. Let's find the lower median, our Q1, our lower quartile. Now, if I just had these 4 points, the one in the middle would be between 3 and 5. There's 2 numbers in the middle. So what do? Let's add those together. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4 would be our Q1. That would be our lower quartile, our lower median. And let's look for our upper median, which in this case will be between 12 and 12. 12 plus 12 is 24, divided by 2 is 12. Now, I'm not adding another 12 to this data. It's just saying that the median here is between, it's 12. So that's our Q3, or upper quartile, our Q3, 12. Now, remember that by doing that, guys, we have essentially split the data into 4 sections. We have the data in 4 sections. Notice that we have our first section right here. All right, we have our second section right here, our third section right here, and our fourth section is over here. All right, now we'll talk more about this later, but for now, at least we have these 5 numbers, and we can use those 5 numbers to find out the interquartile range. Our interquartile range is the distance from here to here. In other words, interquartile range, ladies and gentlemen, is simply subtracting our Q3 minus our Q1. We want to know what is the distance between these 2 quartiles. So our Q3, as we can see here, is indeed 12. Our Q1 is 4. So 12 minus 4 is equal to 8. That's going to be our interquartile range. And that's it. It's as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. As simple as that. Let's do another one. If I went too fast, I encourage you to go back and look at it again, but let's do a different one. Let's go on to the next one, actually. All right, let me just check something. Yes. So let's look at our next one. So in this data set, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to rewrite all the numbers again. Sorry. I apologize for that. So let's go ahead and just write them in a line. So we have 5, 5, 6, 10, 13, 16, 16 again, 18, and 20. And notice how this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 numbers, meaning that there should be 1 in the middle. Before I do that, we can see that our minimum is 5. Clearly, that's our minimum. That's our minimum. And our maximum is 20. So there we go. Minimum and maximum are taken care of. We can see that right in the middle we have, so it's 5 and 20 are together, 5 and 18 are together, 6 and 16 are together, 10 and 16 are together, yes. And so 13 is right in the middle, ladies and gentlemen. Notice that this 13 is not paired up with anything. That is our median. That is our Q2, meaning that 13 is not part of the lower half or part of the upper half, okay? It has 4 numbers to the right and 4 numbers to the left of it. So I'm just going to leave it alone. It's right there in the middle. That is our Q2. That is our median, which is 13. So that means that when I look at the lower half of the data, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm looking at the lower half of the data, I'm not going to include that 13. It's not part of the lower half. In the previous problem, since we had 2 numbers in the middle, the lower number was part of the lower half, but in this case, 13 is right in the middle. It is not part of the lower half. So I'm going to be looking at these 4 numbers. And within those 4 numbers, the median is going to be between 5 and 6. Neither of those are the median. I have to average it. So 5 plus 6 is 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. That is my Q1. So my Q1 is 5.5. Now looking at the upper half of the data, I can see that it's going to be between 16 to 20. Remember, that 13 is not part of the upper half. So it's going to be between 16 and 18. 16 plus 18 is going to be 34. 34 divided by 2 is 17. 17 is my Q3. That is my upper median. That is my upper quartile. So that is 17. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the interquartile range, remember, guys, will always be the difference between Q3 and Q1. So in that case, my Q3 is 17. My Q1 is 5.5. So I have to subtract 5.5 from 17. Make sure you line up the decimals. So 5 cannot go into 0, so I'm going to borrow. That becomes a 6, 10. It's going to be 5. Bring down the decimal. 1, 1. So it's going to be 11.5. Again, notice how simple that was, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk more about the meaning and why we're actually splitting the data into 4 groups later. But for now, if you can simply identify these things, you're going to be fine. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that you did find this video helpful. And with that in mind, I will see you next time.